And good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business here on this Friday. And it's been a long, busy week here around the business world with President Trump over in Asia. Most of the week he's back now. So the government stuff is kind of quiet in terms of the tariffs and things. Obviously, the SNAP benefits going away tonight at midnight. Kind of a big issue here with the government shutdown, but still no end in sight. I know the SNAP benefits case with the attorney generals, including the one here in Arizona, is going through the court system. Maybe we'll see a ruling to get that funded coming up here, but that's the big fight here between, of course, Congress and reopening the federal government. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world, and let's get right into it with a Market Watch. Amazon reported yesterday, it's causing the NASDAQ to be up today. Everything else, well, has given up any gains they've had earlier today as well. Dow Jones right now is down the 81 points to 47,500. The S&P 500 is down 23 points to 6838 for it. The NASDAQ, as I said, up. Amazon up today. We'll talk about them here in just a minute. 117 points up for the NASDAQ, 23,696. And the Russell 2K basically even today. It's 2 points down right now for that small cap index. And then Bitcoin, look, it's up about 1,000 points today. Still under that 110,000 threshold. That's 109,345 for Bitcoin here today. So that gets riled up and then it comes back down again and stays down for a little bit. Bitcoin continuing to do what it's done for a few months now. Stocks we're paying attention to, well, first one we're going to look at is Amazon. They, of course, reported yesterday after the bell, and they're up 10.61% as of this moment. They were up over 12% at one point here today. And, you know, they came out with their earnings report. They did beat expectations. Amazon earned $1.95 per share. The expectation was $1.57 per share, so blew that number out of the water. $180.2 billion in revenue for Amazon. Expectation was only $177.9 billion for Amazon there. So good numbers for them. Now, unlike Microsoft, unlike Meta, they didn't say they were pumping a ton of money into, billions of dollars more into AI services. So their stock's up today. Unlike we saw with them reporting yesterday, that was what drove those stocks down yesterday. So Amazon, good reporting numbers. And then you got Reddit out there. You know Reddit, social media platform, the Redditors. Well, it's up big today. Well, not as big as it was earlier. It's been a sell-off, but it is still up big, 9.82% right now. It was up hitting almost 20% earlier today. They posted there for third quarter earnings for them. 80 cents per share. 51 cents per share is what estimates were expecting them to had. Blew that out of the water. Reddit had $585 million in revenue. Well, the expectation amount was $546 million in revenue, so blew that out of the water as well. $40 million roughly in additional revenue compared to the expectation level, which means Reddit up big today here, 9.53% right now as the day has gone on. And then Getty Images is a stock we're going to look at. We've paid attention to Getty Images a few times over the last year or so, mainly around the AI side of things and the pictures that they have, right? They're up 2.74% here today, and they've now reached a multi-year licensing agreement with Perplexity, which is an AI out there. And what that's going to do is it's going to enable the display of Getty Images content through Perplexity's search tools powered by that artificial intelligence, right? That those Getty pictures and Getty Images are copyrighted. You can't just go get them off the internet and post them. Some companies and some AIs have paid big money for that type of stuff. But there's a deal now between Getty Images and Perplexity to put those Getty Images up on the search results as well. So, initially the stock went up and gained as much as 19%. As you see, it's just been a constant sell-off here today to 2.74% up right now for Getty Images off of that information. Later on, when we come back here on this Friday and we look at the Market Watch, the stocks we'll look at then will be Intuitive Machines, Newell Brands, which is Rubbermaid, Sharpie, Coleman Camping Gear. that company. We're going to look at that stock for Newell Brands, and then First Solar reporting as well yesterday. And that solar industry is really interesting right now with the switch from report green energy, solar energies with the Trump administration to not having any of that stuff out there, getting rid of, the incentives and things. So we'll look at First Solar with their reporting as well. But first, let's get into some national stories around businesses you need to know. And if you're traveling to Mexico anytime soon or expecting people to come up, well, there's been some changes here between the U.S. and Mexico in terms of air flights. And the Secretary of Transportation came out. His name's Sean Duffy. He issued a new order that's going to, what they say, slash 13 current or planned routes by Mexican carriers into the United States. This is an official announcement coming out from the Department of Transportation. It comes after Sean Duffy in July put Mexico on notice for its blatant disregard of that 2015 U.S.-Mexico Air Transport Agreement, a legal document, and its ongoing anti-competitive behavior from the Mexican side in the airlines. The disapproved routes involved all airports, specifically one airport, Mexico City, what the routes are effectively going into and going by. So if you have somebody going in and out of Mexico City here into the United States coming up here, the impacted routes are an Aeromexico service between Benito Juarez International Airport and San Juan, Puerto Rico, a Valeris service that they're also at the Mexico City Airport, and Newark, New Jersey is being affected. A Viva Aerobus proposed service between Felipe Angeles International Airport in Austin, New York, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, and Orlando. So that one's a big one as a proposed one. Aeromexico services between Felipe Angeles International Airport and then Houston Airport as well up here in the United States. So just heads up there as well. But the reason why they're canceling these and saying they're not going to allow them into the United States, well, Mexico is illegally canceled, according to the U.S. government, and frozen U.S. carrier flights for 3 years without any consequences. They went on to say in the statement that all the while, Mexican carriers have been adding new routes and services between Mexico and the United States. So now some consequences, at least in the eyes of the United States government there. So heads up if you're traveling in that war that is starting. We'll see if it goes into any other, flights and other things here as it goes tit for tat, right, as we keep going. And if you have YouTube TV, you woke up today and you got the notices. I saw it all over my social media and I saw it all over my stuff, even though I don't have YouTube TV. But if you have YouTube TV, you know you can no longer see Disney channels, which includes ABC, ESPN, FX, I believe, is one of them as well. Yeah, the two sides failed to agree on a new content distribution deal, and the deal ended last night. Other channels that did go off air is off of YouTube TV, obviously Disney Channel, but FX, Nat Geo as well are also gone. So YouTube TV, well, it said in a blog post late Thursday that Disney had followed through on a threat to suspend its content amid the negotiations between the two companies. The breakdown is going to obviously impact a lot of people's watching of some college football games on Saturday, anything NBA, NFL, NHL games as well as, ESPN carries a lot of that stuff on that on the ESPN channels there. YouTube is the largest internet TV provider in the U.S., more than 9 million subscribers for them. Here's the interesting thing. Hulu, which is owned by Disney, that's the next biggest one. It has about half that many subscribers. Viewers have become aware of this dispute in recent weeks. You hear them all over the radio hosts talking about this coming up here and everything. Warnings have been scrolled across screens on TV. Like I said, radio ads being played here locally. I've heard them several times. YouTube did say, though, Disney used the threat of a blackout as a negotiation tactic, and that would have resulted in higher prices for the subscribers of YouTube TV. Disney's move to take down its content also benefits, and this is what's fascinating for me, it benefits Disney streaming products, specifically, right, Hulu Plus, Live TV, Fubo, which now Disney owns as well. So Disney's going to benefit if people leave YouTube TV and go to Hulu, for instance, or Fubu, right? YouTube said it would give subscribers a $20 credit if Disney content is unavailable for an extended period of time. YouTube TV's base subscription plan, well, it's $82.99 per month with Disney and everything. So they say a $20 credit would be coming. Disney, in their response, did say YouTube TV is refusing to pay fair rates for its channels, and they've chosen to deny their subscribers the content they value most. Disney did point out the number of top 25 teams playing this weekend that you're not going to be able to watch if you have YouTube TV on those channels. Also, Disney kind of delved into an interesting thing. They went to the market cap of Google, who owns YouTube TV. They said a company with a $3-4 billion market cap is playing games with pennies in this argument. So Disney got a little dirty there as well. But bottom line is, you, the consumer, might be suffering this weekend if a deal is not put together here as the day goes on. And then, at the midnight tonight is when those SNAP benefits are not going to be funded. As of now, it's in the court system. We'll see if a judge does say that it has to be funded by the federal government. But U.S. grocers, food companies, they're all getting ready for a loss of sales with these benefits ending, right? So this is going to affect Walmart, Kroger's, Albertsons, Fry's, obviously, which is part of Kroger, Target as well. All those companies are bracing for a dip in November sales if the federal food aid benefits does, in fact, lapse here tonight or go into any length of time before it's funded. This is all because of that government shutdown, and that government shutdown has imperiled next month's supplemental, basically the SNAP, right? Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program in the food stamps there. And nationwide, they're saying it's 42 million people that do get those SNAP benefits in the whole country. Here in the Valley, or here in Arizona, I saw it was 886,000 people roughly. They say would be affected by this as well. So $8 billion revenue drop for grocers is expected if SNAP is not funded here this month. That obviously means declining sales for not just the grocery stores, but their suppliers, reduced hours for workers, as well as, the grocery stores aren't as busy as well. Workers aren't going to get as much money because, people that have SNAP recipients, well, they're not going to be, one, they might not be able to afford any groceries, or two, they're not going to spend their allotted amount, obviously, if they can afford something out there as well. So with grocery stores bracing for that coming up here this weekend, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but maybe it means grocery stores a little bit not as busy here, right, over the weekend coming up. But grocery stores are worried about that side. And like I said, it trickles down as well. Suppliers, workers in the grocery stores. So this is a big deal here as it trickles down. And look, it's that time of year where open enrollment, your company might be doing it right now in terms of healthcare and things to that effect. And you've already seen the price increases, the reductions on your company benefits as well. Well, now the open enrollment for health insurance brought on from the Affordable Care Act, which is, also known as Obamacare. Well, it starts November 1st here tomorrow as well. And it starts in most states. There's a couple that are a little bit later. But millions of people are going to get a sticker shock out there as well, because if you get that financial financial assistance, well, it's that expires in December 31st out there. And, you might see the big numbers here when you log in. If you do, go through the ACA. Congressional deadlock, obviously, here with the government. And it's a big topic here. The Democrats say they want to negotiate the ACA subsidies before they open up the government. The Republican side say open up the government, then we can talk about that. And this is all for that assistance, right, for the premiums from that perspective. So this could have a significant ramifications here, the sticker shock with customers' finances. And it's going to decide the choices they make about health coverage, right? Are they going to go to a higher deductible plan, which means more money out of pocket? Are they just going to say, I can't afford health insurance at all and not get it at all? Is kind of the decisions people are going to have to be making here coming up. So there's a the percentage of Americans that actually use the ACA marketplace to get insurance, it's actually a very, very small percentage out there. But the share could be large enough to, affect things, right? Like elections coming up. There, I know there's one here in Arizona. It's a smaller one. There's one next week here, right? But this could be enough to maybe swing some things in terms of senators being elected here coming up in some states and things to that perspective. But um, it's been a sticking point to reopening the government. Now people are going to get more expensive insurance. And look, if you're on the ACA, there's some people that are on there because they own their own businesses. It's the only way you can go. But some people need the assistance to get it, much like the SNAP benefits. And this government shutdown, this argument happening over it, not fixing it, is literally hitting it home here for, of course, a lot of our nation's, lesser afforded people that can't afford those items out there. So it's going to continue here, folks. There's just no end in sight to a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, with our federal government. And then we got another story here of more layoffs coming the way on companies, right? We talked about Target. We talked about Amazon this week. We've talked about a bunch of companies this week. Well, add General Motors to that list of layoffs as well. They say they're laying off 1,750 workers indefinitely in the coming months. And then they're going to temporarily cut 1,670 other people. Well, what it's doing is it's scaling back its electric vehicle production now that all the subsidies have gone away. So the production plans and realigning the electric vehicle capacity, specifically at their Factory Zero, is what they call it. That's its flagship electric vehicle assembly plant up there in Michigan. They're doing that in response to the slower near-term electric vehicle adoption. Right, a lot of people going to not buy electric vehicles because that $7,500 credit went away, for instance. But also an evolving regulatory involvement, right? The federal government under Trump and his administration, they're relaxing a lot of those regulatory stuff that was pushing these guys to develop more electric vehicles. So, in its regulatory filing from earlier this month, we told you this on story here at McCollum on Business. GM indicated it would incur a $1.6 billion loss for the third quarter of 2025, and it's all connected to this plan to scale back and adjust its electric vehicle production and its factory usage, right? So the production at Factory Zero up there in Michigan, right now it has two shifts. It manufactures the GMC Hummer EV, the Chevrolet Silverado EV, the GMC Sierra EV, and the Cadillac Escalade IQ is what is made specifically there. They're pausing the making of those cars there, and what's happening at that plant, they're pausing it through November 24. So that's where you get the temporary layoffs here right now. Well, the company will convert production to one shift during that time when it comes back. And then when the time comes back when the employees do come back, well, both shifts, right, are going to be able to return at the end of November. Well, what the company's going to do is they're going to determine which of the highest ranking senior workers will make up of the one shift that they're going to go to. So that means 1,200 employees that don't make the cut, well, will be laid off indefinitely. That's how they're doing those layoffs up there in for GM in Michigan coming up. So look, another big company doing layoffs as well in the thousands of range, and it's the MO coming, folks. It is happening left and right out there, and this is staggering. We know Starbucks is redoing its business and everything. We know they're trying to remodel it, they get back to their roots, get more people to go back to Starbucks with all the heightened competition out there. One of the things they're doing is delivery of coffee. And the numbers we got on how much delivery is worth to Starbucks, I had to pick myself up off the floor, folks. Starbucks said on Wednesday that its annual delivery sales crossed the $1 billion mark in fiscal 2025. $1 billion is what they picked up in delivering coffee. Starbucks said fiscal fourth quarter delivery sales climbed almost 30% compared with the year ago period. Starbucks reported, Starbucks did come out and report flat U.S. same-store sales in the fiscal fourth quarter, which did reverse the previous 7 quarters of domestic same-store sales declines at that time. as customers have, made their coffee at home. We went to rivals like Dutch Bros and BlackRock, for instance, here in the Valley as well. So they went from negative to flat. So improvement coming here for Starbucks. But then Starbucks began testing delivery roughly a decade ago. But they didn't buy into it a ton, right? They were slow to roll it out than any of the other companies that do coffee or restaurant companies as well. U.S. consumers have been slow to embrace coffee delivery. And this is what's interesting. China, all they want is coffees delivered and everything, right? Up there in Starbucks Home Market, up in Seattle, drive-through lanes, mobile order options. Well, they offer similar convenience, but you don't have to pay the delivery fees when it's delivered to you. Perhaps to justify the higher cost, of the deliveries, with those fees, a typical Starbucks delivery order is nearly twice as size of an in-store transaction. This is all according to Starbucks here. They say more than 40% of the chain's delivery orders actually include food, compared to when you go into the store. So Starbucks embracing that delivery now a lot quicker, right? DoorDash, they do all of those sites, DoorDash, Instacart, all that. You can get it from Uber Eats, etc. So Starbucks embracing that, and they passed the $1 billion mark there as a company in terms of deliveries. That is big business out there for everybody right now. And you may have noticed, because I've noticed this at a couple establishments. I pay cash whenever possible when I go places, even to this day. Not everybody accepts it anymore. I get that. But there's a problem with pennies and getting your change back as of right now. If you don't know why, well, we'll give you the backstory here. President Trump decided to stop producing the penny earlier this year. And, well, it's leaving a lot of merchants, a lot of banks short of the pennies, and they're struggling to give customers exact change throughout the country. So, you're not able to get a fresh supply of pennies if you order them as well, if you're the banks. So, banks are rationing pennies and not getting them out there. I saw some creative things from stores. Sheets, the store, said you could get a free large drink, from the fountain if you brought in 100 pennies to them. So they could have pennies, folks. The lack of pennies has also become a legal issue here for stores and retailers, right? You've got to give people back their money, even if it's just a penny. You owe that to them, right? But then also, some states and cities, they have laws in place that it's illegal to round up a transaction to the nearest nickel or dime. Pay attention to round up there, right? Because doing so, you'd run up against those laws that are supposed to place cash customers in line and not treated differently than debit and credit card customers out there. So a lot of these companies are doing things like to avoid these lawsuits, right? They're rounding down right now. So 2 or 3 cents may not seem like a much. So if you're owed, 9.54, for instance, well, they're rounding down, right? And they're giving you the dime, or they're rounding to the 9.55, right, to give you that nickel there, so you get that. So they're costing themselves money moving forward, and that extra change that they give up could end up to tens of thousands of dollars a year with all the transactions that these stores do as well. So here's a simple solve on this. Simple solve. Right now, change all your prices so they're all on a 5. Nickels, dimes, ever. Harkins did this 20 years ago. Everything at a Harkins and the concession stand, at least at one time, I don't know about now, I haven't been in one in tons of years. They changed it to where you didn't have to do anything. It was just quarter-based. Everything was something 25, or something 00. So you didn't have to deal with dimes, nickels, and quarters and things to that effect. With tax, by the way. It's how they calculated it out there. Hey, the penny dates all the way back to the early days of the U.S. Mint. So it's been around for a long time, right? And the mint was established back in 1792. But the penny costs a lot more to manufacture than it's actually worth, right? 1 penny, 1 cent. Well, it costs about 3.7 cents to manufacture and distribute it in 2024, which is why President Trump has outlawed it out there and stopped manufacturing it because of those costs. So next time you're in a store, penny issues going on left and right for everybody. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show running. One more look at the market watch here on this Friday. Stocks we're paying attention to. Let's get into candy prices as it is Halloween tonight. If you've already bought your candy and you bought a lot of chocolate, you saw the price increases out there. We've been telling you about some estimated price increases coming up. Well, we got actual numbers here for you. We'll talk about that, a couple local stories as well. We'll get out of here for the weekend. So come on back and join me, McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business, Friday edition, headed into the weekend, getting you all the information you need to know around the stock market and everything. And just coming out now, the ruling from the judge, SNAP benefits must continue despite shutdown. A judge has told the Trump administration that is breaking right now as well. And of course, we just had the economic impact, right? Grocery stores and things being nationally affected from that. And the judge has come out now and said the benefits must continue here despite the shutdown. So there's your update for that here. And, see what happens next here in this saga of our federal government. And, you just saw the commercial there for the Real Matrix. Every Wednesday at noon, the Real Matrix comes out with a new episode. This week's episode is up as well, not only just at Robat TV. It's right there. It's got its own channel for you. For those of you that do subscribe, it's on the YouTube channel that we do here where we produce the shows. Our shows are on that free YouTube on demand. Check that out as well. And there is a podcast there on every podcast system that you enjoy. Just search for The Real Matrix, and that'll pop right up for you as well. If you'd rather listen to the shows, 6 episodes in total are up now. The Angry Patriot gets you out there. Sometimes Dale Hillestrade joins him on the show. Sometimes other guests get on there with him. He wants to open your eyes to kind of what is happening out here in the world. And boy, does he do that, folks. And if that interests you, check that out here as well. And we're proud to bring that show to you here with our production company here with me, Riley, Kobe, and Ethan's production company. It's fun to do those types of things. It brings you a variety of interesting programming out there. Of course, the main event in the bag today. Uncle Lou joined us here on Friday. Of course, Coach Sheehan from Scottsdale Christian Academy has a bye week this week, waiting for the playoffs to start for them. He joined us on Thursday. Everything was shifted a little bit this week. Bruce Cooper was on Tuesday earlier in the week, and it's just been a fun, absolute week of sports talk out there. And Cardinals don't get in the way until Monday, so we'll talk about them on Monday. ASU quarterback Sam Levitt out for the season. It was announced this morning right before we went on air. We cover all of that. The main event up right now on demand at Robat TV, up on the YouTube page, up, of course, in the free podcast system for you right now. And then as soon as we finish this show, we put it up at Robat TV and on YouTube also for you for on-demand reasons. And then, of course, You got the pit stop. Racing is here in the Valley. Championship NASCAR racing is here in the Valley. Truck Series gets underway tonight. They will crown their champion here. It starts at 4:30 our time. Green flag. Tomorrow, Xfinity Series champion. 4:30 green flag tomorrow as well, and then Sunday 1 p.m. because of the time change happens on Sunday out there at Phoenix Race. We'll be out there all weekend. Pit stop look ahead show. My predictions is up on Robat TV, YouTube, and at the Pit Stop Talk, where you can find me on social media, also on the free podcast systems as well. All of them, it is there for you. And look forward to that this weekend with championship stuff happening here around town. And I appreciate you joining us. If you got to the YouTube page and subscribed it, thank you very much. Like I said, it's just mainly our stuff. It is only our stuff that we produce here. Morning show, of course, here at Robat TV. Did a big Halloween thing last night with Marshall there with the morning show here at Robat TV. Their show's promoted here as well and produced here. Lots of programming at Robat TV as well, but the YouTube channel specifically for what we do out there. And we appreciate you guys' support and helping us out here. And, well, let's do some support and let's see if we can help each other out here with the Friday last Market Watch of the week. Good news, things are slowly coming out of the red and going into the green. We still have a couple laggards here that are in the red, but right now the Dow Jones still down, but coming closer, 19 points down right now for the Dow Jones, 47,564. The S&P 500's down 16 points to 6845. Then there's NASDAQ up 144 points, driven by Amazon and their reporting, right? Big up for them today. We talked about that earlier in the show. Russell 2K is flipped as well. That small cap index up 4 points right now to the 2473. And then there's Bitcoin. Now dropping down. It is actually Bitcoin is selling off as the day is going on here. It was well over 109,000 earlier when we looked at it in the show, and now it just dropped under 109,000. 108,914 for Bitcoin here on this Friday. Stocks we're paying attention to right now in this segment. Intuitive Machines is what we're going to look at. These guys signed a big deal here. Right now they're up 5.10% for Intuitive Machines. Well, they won an $8.2 million contract extension from the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory Space Vehicles Directorate. Ooh, fit that on a business card, would you? Right? What they're going to do is they're going to develop next-generation nuclear power systems for spacecraft and lunar infrastructures. Big $8.2 million deal for Intuitive Machines, up 5.10% based off of that news. And then you got Newell Brands. This is the parent company of Rubbermaid, Sharpie, Coleman Camping Supplies. Down big today, 27.22% down right now. It was down over 28% earlier today as well. Well, their quarterly results and their forecast for the rest of the year, disappointed. And disappointment is an understatement there for them, right? So they lowered their full year adjusted earnings guidance to a range of 56 cents to 60 cents. Before their guidance was 66 to 70 cents. So that's a big downgrade there in terms of their full year adjusted guidance. And then Newell sees revenue declining by as much as 5% versus prior guidance of a 2 to 4% drop as what the previous amount was there. So going worse and worse and worse here for Newell Brands. That's why they're down 27.65%. And then First Solar reported as well. Well, they're up big today. First Solar is 13.67% as of right now. Third quarter revenue came in at $1.6 billion. The consensus amount that everybody was looking for was $1.58 billion as well. Earnings per share did match expectations. It was $4.24 per share. Just a little note there because we keep an eye on that solar energy with the incentives going away for homeowners to get solar panels. Not a lot of government getting solar panels, et cetera. So something we're keeping an eye on here, of course, on the program. And, let's wrap up this show here. Before we get into the few local stories we're going to talk about here on Friday. Obviously, today's Halloween. And maybe you bought your candy, maybe you're stopping on the way home today, but we have hard data. And that data is now showing Halloween candy prices. Well, they're increasing faster than inflation is. So a lot of people are attributing the conditions, obviously, to the cocoa crop climates, and that's happening down there, and also increases in confectionery manufacturing costs as well on why candy prices are going through the roof. 5 years ago, a 100 count bag of assorted Halloween candy, it would have cost around $9 a bag. Well, that same bag today would cost around $16 a bag. This is all from research from Finance Buzz, which is a personal finance website. Obviously, the soaring cocoa prices, we talk about it a lot here at McCollum on Business in these recent years. Well, they've changed the equation for the chocolate makers. Prices have reached record highs amid poor harvests over there in West Africa. And, we've talked about that before, that 70 something percent of the world's cocoa is grown in that region. They have a big issues. It's not just, it's everything. It's rising temperatures, irregular rainfall, crops disease because of the irregular rainfall and everything. Well, it's devastated. Took out a lot of cocoa fields. I was shocked. I got a stat coming up for you on how long it takes for a cocoa tree to go from birth, basically, right, growth, to when it can start doing cocoa beans. I was floored by that number when I looked it up as well, right? That's what you're looking at. So there's a 500,000 ton global cocoa deficit out there. Supply is far below the demand, obviously, when that happens. And it's how bad is it? Well, it's the largest difference and gap there in the last 60 years. And here's the stat that looks it up. When I looked it up, I was floored to see, because I wanted to know, like eggs, right, or like eggs with chickens. If you have to cull a whole flock because of the bird flu, how long does it take to get flocks grown up enough to lay eggs again and everything? And it's a bigger number than you think it is. Well, cocoa trees take 4 to 5 years to start producing cocoa beans from their infancy and that. So it's not something that you can rush. When trees get destroyed, it's not something you can rush to get new ones out there in a hurry. If it's 4 to 5 years to get those cocoa beans, so if you haven't bought your candy yet, just take a deep breath, do a little huzzah, as you're going into the Walmart or wherever to get your candy. Just take a deep breath and remember it's for you, and then it's for the kids. Because don't act like you're not going to eat it tonight. Hey, APS out there, right? Arizona Public Service. They announced plans to build a new natural gas facility here in the Arizona. And it's a move that they say will provide a major boost to Arizona's energy grid. They attribute much of the skyrocketing demand on energy that we've had lately, obviously, to the artificial intelligence, the data centers out there as well. But they do say a small data center can use 40 to 60 times the energy of a single Walmart store. And yet, our prices are going up as consumers and homeowners because of that. To meet this demand, APS plans to build the Desert Sun Power Plant. It's going to be a new natural gas facility out there in the desert west of Gila Bend. So phase one of the project, it'll focus on existing customers and typical growth, things like small businesses, residential expansions. The second phase, does include a model where data centers are actually going to pay for the construction of new plants as they are needed out there. So construction is scheduled to begin in 2028. And make no mistake about it, at least in that first part, you as homeowners will be paying for that new one being built up before the data centers start to there with APS. So, an SRP's price increase goes into effect tomorrow as well. So we're about to get one over here on the SRP side as well. And yeah, electric companies, just whatever. Let's just start with whatever. It's Friday. Let's just not deal with it. Hey, Castellon Corp. This is interesting, something we found out. They want to test and build hypersonic missiles on unincorporated land in Pinal County. Yeah, we found this out because of documents filed with the Arizona State Land Department. They call it Project Ranger. It's an economic development project proposed in unincorporated Pinal County, which would be out there by Santan Valley area is what they're looking at. The Pinal County Board of Supervisors on October 15th gave a green light to rezone around 1,095 acres, which is now state-owned land. They want to rezone it to. They are going to rezone it to industrial usage out there in order to allow for this Project Ranger to get underway. So they're building a manufacturing facility. Maybe the zoning's been done. This land still has to sell, but they want to build a manufacturing facility that's going to create about 300 high-paying jobs in its first phase. The site's projected to be put up for auction by the end of this year. And of course, Castellan wants to buy that land in order to do this. So, Arizona State Land Department records were obtained by the Business Journal. We get a lot of details here that have been revealed in this documents given to the Business Journal here. The documents reveal, according to the Business Journal, that Castellan, quote, seeks a location for scale manufacturing and testing of hypersonic missiles, at specifically that Pinal County site. They also say that the project has support from the county and the Arizona Commerce Authority. Castellan confirmed in ASLD documents, the State Land Department, that, quote, hazardous materials would actually be stored at the proposed facility also. Castellan is a weapons manufacturing startup and had the goal of developing hypersonic missiles that travel 5 times the speed of sound, which would be Mach 5 if I know my Mach numbers well from Chuck Yeager flight simulator back in the day, which means they want to do this. They want to build these quickly. They want to do it at a big scale, and that's where they think they can do it. Castellan, you might not have heard of them, but they were a company founded back in 2022. 3 former SpaceX employees got together to build up this company. Now, it's interesting in Arizona. It's not a shocker, right? Because a lot of weapons manufacturing people are here in the valley as well. It's actually that whole weapons manufacturing demographic, it's exploded. It's one of the Arizona's biggest booming industries right now out there. Government bucks have helped lure them in terms of not just state, taxes, forgiveness and that stuff, but federal as well. These are companies like Northrop Grumman, Honeywell Aerospace Technologies, Raytheon down there in Tucson, as well. They all have deep roots here in the state. Now Castellan wants to come in and develop hyperspace missiles and test them out there in that land as well. And this project was hush-hush on who the company was. Now we have that information out there. So Castellan coming in to the valley if they buy the land and they have the support of the county and everybody to be here, according to them. And the fact that they keep changing everything and rezone everything for them tells you they have the support of the government. And folks, it's Friday. Let's get out of here. Of course, thank you for joining me here at McCollum on Business. We'll be back on Monday at 11 o'clock. Of course, after the weekend, catch any programming on the YouTube page here of the page that of our production company. Of course, you can catch everything on demand as well if you watch us live here at Robat TV. Catch any of the free podcast systems. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you here on Monday, folks.